Good morning, gentlemen. मैं हूं Madan Singh, and I'm going to talk to you about what's going to happen 10 years down the line. You're all aware that this world in a fluid situation. The Islamic countries have formed three of them, that is, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, have formed what is the Makkah Pact. It's a military alliance. That's the first thing. And the second thing is now there's another alliance which has come out, which is called the Naval Alliance, basically theoretically to defend the Gulf of Aden as well as the Hormuz Strait. And 14 Islamic countries are a member of that. And the surprising thing is that Bangladesh and Nigeria are also part of this pact. And it's not understood what these two countries have to do with this area which is so far away. So, what is the background behind it? The background is pretty murky, and it is something to do with the United States. Now, I can tell you, I'm visualizing a thing as what's going to happen 10 years down the line. And the first thing we must remember that America, after fighting the Iran war, where it has been defeated, it is now at its wits' end. It is seeing the ebb of its power, and it is scared of one country, and that is India. It's already scared of China, and they can't do anything about China, and they're scared that another China like India doesn't rise up. So the aim is basically to contain India, and that is what I can tell you what the meaning of this pact is. And the Muslim countries, the Islamic countries, are played in the hands of the United States. Now, there's been, as I told you, one pact has been signed, the military pact. It's got a clause that an attack on one country will be treated as an attack on the other. Well, that's a lot of bull. You can't expect Turkey and Saudi Arabia and Pakistan to join together to fight any war. And they've got only two enemies, and that is Israel and India. As far as Pakistan is concerned, Turkey considers India as an enemy as well, but Saudi Arabia and India have very good relations. And Saudi Arabia also is pretty well off with the Israelis. So there's a big flaw in this agreement, pact. I don't think it's going to have any meaning, frankly, because they're so disparate, hundreds of miles away. They can't have a unified command, and they have an enemy in between, or rather a belligerent nation like Iran in between. How are they going to correlate that? So, gentlemen, this is the American plan basically behind it. And all these countries who have become member of the various pacts, are basically subservient to the United States. They are like the yes men of the United States. And the US, having lost its power, trying to use these countries basically to curtail India. Of course, Israel is the friend of the United States, so they will prevail on these countries not to do anything to Israel and try and to curtail the Indian power, because Indian power is very rising. Our per capita income in the middle class is becoming affluent, and militarily India is strong. So, idea is to try and curb the Indian power. In this entire region, the Indian Navy is the most powerful with two aircraft carriers, and that is what really is bugging the Americans. The Americans have seen the rise of China, and they're scared that India will also rise up. So they're thinking that, as per their planning, they'll have these pacts, to control India. It's not going to happen. And it's not going to work. As I told you, the military alliance is going to go bonkers. It will just collapse like a pack of cards for the simple reason none of these three countries, even if they join together, can fight India. And Saudi Arabia is not going to do it. I can be very, very sure about it. They got excellent trade relations with the Indians. The only country who's really considering that they will fight India is Pakistan. And Pakistan has been defeated in a number of wars. In 71, they lost half the country. And now I think they're going to lose Baluchistan as well. So Pakistan will be cut to size very soon. As far as the naval alliance, which has been set up by these 14 countries, as I told, the disparate alliance, and two of the countries which have been involved are Bangladesh and Nigeria, who have nothing to do with these two areas, which are so far away. Their ships don't even sail there, and their navies got no relevance. You think a Bangladesh navy's got a relevance there? And what about Nigeria? Thousands of miles away from the Gulf of Aden and Hormuz Strait, what the hell is it doing? But the aim is just to try and needle India. That's basically the aim behind it. That's my view. And 10 years down the line, I can tell you what's going to happen. As far as the Jeddah Pact is concerned, it's going to collapse much earlier. And this alliance, which they have made, the Americans have made, is also going to collapse. Now, many people will be wondering that who's behind this. Of course, Pakistan is the driving force. It's trying to make itself relevant in the world. That's the only issue of Pakistan, because Pakistan has become an irrelevant nation, and they tried to make themselves relevant by trying to make peace between Iran and the United States. That's come a cropper. Iran has not surrendered, the fight is on, and the Americans have now withdrawn. They are thinking they will use the economic clout to try and finish Iran. It's not going to be easy, and I can tell you it's not going to be easy. And in the bargain, America is going to suffer tremendous damage themselves. They're already suffering damage. They lost face. Donald Trump, I think, doesn't know what the hell to do, and he's prancing around like a small cub, tiger cub, which can't bite. So that is the crux of the issue. But India is a rising power, and as far as the Navy is concerned, as I told you, the US is probably going to back this Navy of these 14 countries because they don't have a Navy of any value. And India is the only powerful force here. And so these 14 maritime alliance which they have made, 14 countries which have made the maritime alliance is a lot of BS. I don't want to say the full word here on YouTube, but that is what it is. It's an irrelevant act, basically to try and see if they can control India, which they won't be able to do it. The Americans, I think, I've been to America so many times, are really worried about India at the moment. They're worried that India will rise up like China. It will be like the phoenix, but the bird which rose from, mythical bird which rose from the ashes. India was a colony of the British for 200 years, and the British, as you know, have now just evaporated like the dew, defeated and gone. And now India has risen up like the phoenix, and it's going to be a very deadly bird when it rises up. We have a reasonably good leader in Modi, though I find a lot of shortcomings in him. He's not aggressive enough, but maybe the hour will find the man and somebody will come forward to lead India during this critical time. So, gentlemen, 10 years down the line, where this naval alliance is going to work out? Would the Chinese tolerate this alliance? China may be far away, but China and India having a rapprochement and border trade, which was stopped for almost so many years after the Galwan clash, is now being reopened. So that shows that China and India are opening. And China also is in big economic trouble. If you're seeing some of the videos which are coming out of China, the people are very unhappy and they cannot travel from one place to other. And if you want to leave China and go away, you have to leave all your wealth behind. That means the Chinese economy is floundering. The Indian economy is in better shape, though. If you take as the global value is concerned, Indian economy is one fifth that of China. China's got 20 trillion, India's got about $4.5 trillion economy. America's got 30 trillion. But the 30 trillion is now going down because they got a tremendous debt also, which they have incorporated over the years. And their defense budget is almost $800 billion, is I think 10 times the Indian budget. But this sort of budget has got no meaning. Americans lost all their bases in the Middle East, totally wiped out 12 of their bases, and they have suffered casualties. And one small power like Iran has shown the Americans their place. I think Donald Trump had sadly miscalculated. He thought he was going to destroy Iran completely and take over the regime. It hasn't happened. And now the Iranians have moved their T 72 tanks for battle, and a million men have been mobilized to fight. Now, let's be very clear that none of the Gulf countries got an army which can face up the Iranians. And Turkey, which has got a reasonable force, is not going to involve in a battle against Iran. So the Iranians are cock a hoop, and despite the American plan of including the Gulf countries in a war against Iran, is not going to succeed. And in case you see the war persists, and the Americans, as they say, they're going to bomb the power plants and the oil plants, oil generating areas, it's very, very dangerous. Because there's an old saying, if you read the Bible about Hercules, no, sorry, Samson, Samson from the Bible, and he was chained and brought to the temple of the heathens, and he knew he was going to die, but he pulled the temple down. Now, that's something what's going to happen if the Americans persist in this act against the Iranians, and they persist that, well, we are going to destroy Iran. What is going to happen is Iran may be destroyed, but it's going to destroy the Gulf countries who have made such a lot of development. Another big problem which is coming up in Iran is that they have a leadership crisis, yes, but they still continue to fight. And then we have Saudi Arabia, which also has a leadership crisis. I think the various Islamic terrorist groups do not want the Saudi dynasty to continue. I'll talk on that subject at some other time. But as it stands, I think 10 years down the line, both these alliances are going to go become a cropper. And if they will soon realize, people like Nigeria and all these countries will become member of Oman, etc., and Saudi Arabia will become member of these things at the instigation of Pakistan, that they have achieved nothing. And it's going to be a big zero. And leaving India out, of course, is a good thing. I don't think the Indians should join in any case any such alliance, because we don't want to play second fiddle to the Americans. And basically, as I've told you, this alliance is an American brainchild. Gentlemen, I think I'm coming to the end of my video. It's been very interesting in talk. I think 10 years down the line, you will realize that what I've said is absolutely correct. Both these alliances will just evaporate like the morning dew. They'll just go away. And if they try to do something to Iran, they will be destroyed themselves. Well, gentlemen, I will close now. Goodbye. Please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, give your comments. It'll be a pleasure to listen to you all. Goodbye. God bless and take care. Well, things are changing very fast, as you all know it. Let us see what's going to happen further. But one thing is very clear, that America is in the eclipse mode. And it's nothing to get worried about. All big empires like the Mughal Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, all of them collapsed after some time. It's part of history, it's a historical cycle. And much of it happens when the leaders become incompetent. You know, the Mughal Empire collapsed after Aurangzeb died and Bahadur Shah came up. He didn't have the charisma and the knowledge of power, how to control a country, and the Mughal Empire collapsed. Same thing with the Ottoman Empire, and now the American Empire is going to come up. This is the last gasp from the American to try and make these pacts, to see that their power is perpetuated, but it's not going to happen. Goodbye, sir.